All right, everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive. Today we're tackling something a little different, a little mysterious even.
Ooh, mysterious. I like it.
Right, we're diving into the world of tarot, specifically the death card.
Ah, yes, the death card. Always a crowd pleaser.
Well, maybe not always. I mean, the name itself, right,
hmm
kind of intimidating. But I've got an expert here to help us decode it all, especially for those of us who, well, maybe aren't quite tarot masters yet.
That's where I come in, ready to demystify the death card.
Absolutely. Let's do this. So first things first. When we say death card, should we actually be, a little afraid?
Okay, let's clear that up right away. The death card, why dramatic, isn't about literal physical death.
Okay, good. So not like lights out, game over.
Not quite. Think of it more like symbolic death. Endings, yes, but endings that make way for new beginnings.
Got it. So like a transformation, a shedding of the old.
Exactly. It's about cycles, change, and the constant evolution of, well, everything, like a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. But help me visualize this. When you say death card, what am I actually looking at?
Well, the imagery can vary depending on the tarot deck, but there are some common themes you'll see.
Like what?
You might see a skeletal figure, sometimes on a horse, kind of moving across a landscape.
Okay, a little spooky, but all right, I'm following.
Often there's a king and pauper in the background, or maybe a child and an elder. The point is that death or change comes for everyone, no matter who you are.
So it's emphasizing that this change is universal.
Exactly. But it's not all doom and gloom. There are also symbols that point to the more positive side of this transformation.
Okay, because so far it's a little intense. What else is in this picture?
Well, you'll usually see a white rose, too.
A white rose.
Yep. Symbolizes purity, new beginnings. Like, even amidst endings, there's potential for something pure and fresh to emerge.
I like that. So we've got this ending, this letting go.
Hmm.
But there's also this sense of a new start.
Exactly. And to really drive that home, the death card often shows a rising sun, a classic symbol of hope and, you guessed it, new beginnings.
So many cycles. Death and rebirth, endings and beginnings. It's making me think of nature, how everything is always changing, evolving, renewing itself.
That's a great connection. And speaking of natural cycles, that actually leads us to a fascinating aspect of the death card that we see come up in a lot of different sources. Its connection to something called water alchemy.
Water alchemy. Now that sounds really interesting. What's that all about?
Well, think about water for a second. It's incredibly transformative, right? I mean, it can carve canyons, shape mountains, but it's also essential for life.
Right.
It cleanses, purifies, renews. Water alchemy is about tapping into that power of water for personal growth, for transformation.
So using water to like change and grow, I'm definitely intrigued. How does the death card fit into all this?
Well, both the death card and this idea of water alchemy really emphasize cycles, letting go, and embracing change.
Okay, I see that.
The death card is all about surrendering to the flow of life, just as water flows and adapts to its surroundings.
Like going with the current instead of fighting against it.
Exactly. Recognizing that endings, those symbolic deaths, aren't the end. They're part of a bigger cycle of renewal, just like water itself. And what I think is really cool is that this water alchemy thing, it's not just some abstract concept, It's something we can actually use, something practical.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. Give me the practical stuff. How do we actually work with this water alchemy in our lives?
All right, so one example. Have you ever thought about purification rituals?
Like spiritual cleansing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Think about a simple shower, right? How refreshing it feels after a long day. You're literally washing away dirt. But purification rituals, they take it a step further. It's about using water to cleanse yourself of, I don't know, negative energy, things that are holding you back.
Okay, I love that. Like hitting the reset button, but with water. Fresh start and all that.
Right. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Just visualize yourself under a waterfall. Let the water wash away stress, negativity, whatever.
I could get into that. So it's about the intention behind it, not just the actual washing.
You got it. And there are even ways to enhance that intention. Some people use essential oils, salts, herbs, things known for their purifying properties.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So many possibilities.
Right. And that's just one example. There's also something called a letting go ceremony.
A letting go ceremony. Okay, I'm intrigued. What's that all about?
It's this beautiful way to physically release something you want to let go of.
Like what?
Oh, it could be anything. A past hurt, a limiting belief, even a bad habit.
Okay, so how does it work? Do I need to climb a mountain or something?
No mountain climbing required. You pick an object that represents the thing you want to release,
And then,
and then
don't leave me hanging.
you release it into flowing water, a river, stream, the ocean. As you watch it drift away, you're symbolically letting go of whatever that object represents.
Wow. I mean, that's really powerful. Taking something internal and making it external, giving it a physical form, then letting it go.
It's a way to make it more real, you
Yeah.
know? And that flowing water is key. It represents that constant movement, that change that's always happening inside us and all around us.
So it all ties back to the death card.
Right.
That whole idea of transformation, letting go, trusting that something new can come after.
Exactly. And here's one more water alchemy practice I want to mention that really emphasizes that. Cycle meditation.
Cycle meditation, what's that like?
You find a spot near water, a lake, a river, even a fountain works, and you just sit and observe the water.
Sounds peaceful already.
Right. Notice how it flows, how it changes, how it adapts to its surroundings. The crashing waves, the gentle ripples, the swirling eddies.
So how does this connect to the death card and all this talk about transformation?
Well, think about it. You're witnessing cycles of nature in action. The water is constantly changing, renewing itself, finding new paths. It's just like life, you know?
We're always going through cycles too, ups and downs, endings and new beginnings.
Exactly. And by connecting to those cycles, we learn to flow with them, just like water flows in a river.
I'm starting to see it. So it's not about fearing change, but embracing it, just like the water.
And that's the message of the death card, isn't it? Not actual death, but transformation.
This is all so insightful. I feel like I'm starting to understand the death card on a whole new level.
That's great to hear. And what I love about all this is you don't have to be a tarot expert to use it.
So anyone can try these water alchemy practices.
Absolutely. It's accessible to everyone, and it can be really powerful, especially for navigating those big changes in life.
This has been such a fascinating conversation. I'm honestly feeling pretty inspired to try some of this water alchemy stuff myself. What about you?
Me too. It's amazing how powerful just connecting with water can be.
It really is. You know, it's funny, we started talking about a tarot card, but this conversation has gone so much deeper than that, hasn't it?
That's the beauty of these symbols. They're like doorways. They lead us to bigger ideas.
It's like the death card is just a jumping off point.
Exactly. It's not about getting fixated on the literal image. It's about using it to explore these bigger themes of change and renewal. Like, think about how water shapes the world around us.
Okay. Yeah.
It can wear down even the toughest rock, carve out entire canyons, create new landscapes, but it's also gentle enough to nourish life.
Right. Like that duality is pretty amazing.
And we all have that inside us, that strength and that gentleness, that power and that adaptability.
That's a great point. So it's about finding that balance, I guess.
Exactly. Embracing change, but also recognizing our own resilience, our ability to adapt, just like water.
You know, it's funny. When you think of a flood, it seems destructive, right?
Yeah.
But it's also clearing away the old to make way for the new.
That's a great way to put it, like nature's way of hitting the reset button.
Yeah. So even when things feel like they're falling apart, there's potential for something better to come along.
Exactly. And just like water always finds its way, so can we. We can be like a river, carving a new path when we hit an obstacle, or like the ocean, vast and deep, able to weather any storm.
That's such a powerful image.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm getting a little emotional over here. Seriously, this has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I have a whole new understanding, not just of the death card, but also how to deal with change, you know, like in my own life.
I love that. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Finding that personal meaning, that empowerment.
Totally. So as we wrap up our deep dive here, what's one thing you want to leave our listeners with today?
I think the most important thing to remember is this. Don't be afraid of the death card. Embrace it. It's not a scary ending. It's a reminder that change is a natural part of life and that you have the strength to move through those changes, just like water.
I love that. So well said. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing your insights. This has been, I don't know, kind of a life-changing conversation.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's always exciting to explore these ideas and see how they resonate with people.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you've learned a little something about the death card, about water alchemy, and about your own power to transform. Until next time, keep exploring and keep diving deep.